Welcome back to movementprofessional.com. So today I want to go over low positioning. So there are many times in the course of the day that we're going to have to be lower than our eye level in standing. So we're going to have to get down and do some things down into a squat position. Having a 2.5-year-old, I'm constantly, or a lot more than I used to be, in this lower position. So this is very important because you'll find that if you can't get into these positions really comfortably, you're going to start compensating, and that's how you get strain put on various joints of your body, mainly your lower back. All right, so 3 positions I want to go over to really, it's not something that everybody's going to have the mobility for right now, but making it a goal to work towards so you can make daily life a lot easier are the deep squat. All right, and that's going to be the most complex. A half kneeling position and a tall kneeling position. All right, so we'll start with the half kneeling position, which is basically, can you just get down on one knee? And what is this position, what makes it pretty? All right, so you want to have the knee right under the hip and the hip right under the shoulder in a straight line. All right, so you don't want to be overextended. This might feel good to stretch this out, but then it also takes the lumbar spine and overextends that a bit. All right, so you just want the knee to be right in line with the hip. And maybe put a little tension in the buttock here, but the long-term goal is to not feel like you have to do a lot of work at all and you're just able to maintain a good position. All right, so that's going to be where you start here and keep everything from the ear down in a nice straight line. All right, the front knee here is going to be to give you some stability out a little bit from the inside of the foot and even out from the middle of the foot a little bit, just so you can open this hip. That just gives you a little bit more activity on the outer hip muscles there, so a little bit more stability. Plus it opens the pelvis up and it makes it easier for you to keep a neutral upright position. If I bring this knee in, immediately I can feel this side of my body compress down, and now I'm not in as neutral or stable of a position. So really opening the hip, it's kind of a gateway to a nice upright torso. All right, and the good thing about the half kneeling position is that you can mix it up pretty easy. You can just go one side to the next, and that's the key to any type of positions that you have to be in for a while, is that you have a couple options to change. You're not trying to be static in them, you're trying to be dynamic. So if I can hang out here, feel pretty comfortable and pretty easy to be in this position, but I got to spend some time. A good example for me is when I got to give my son a bath. That may take 5-10 minutes. I can't hang out in one position. Maybe I should be able to, but I can't hang out in one position for that long period of time. But I can often just switch back and forth side to side. This ability to transition here also takes some stability and some practice. So just practicing these positions and then practicing changing from one position to the next really builds good functional deep core stability. All right, so during that transition, you'll actually go into the next position, which is the tall kneeling. All right, and that's just being able to balance on 2 knees without being in an overextended position here. All right, so the feeling is going to be that the knees again are right under the hips, but that you're creating length through the torso. So you're similar to a good standing position, you've just bent the knees now. What happens when you bend the knees, though, is the front structures here of the thighs, mainly your quadriceps, will pull on the pelvis and want to pull you into a forward rotated pelvis. So you have to kind of work against that and make sure, 1, that some of this stuff is loosened up and it's not overly taut, and then 2, that you actually understand what a good neutral position is. All right, so best cue I can think of is just try not to load the knees too much and feel, what do I have to do to unload the knees? What do I have to do to feel like I'm putting less pressure into the mat? All right, so that's creating length through the crown of the head, which ultimately will help you find some of those deep structures for stability. All right, so then I can work here in this low position. I haven't been sitting in chairs this month, so I've had to use the half kneeling and the tall kneeling position actually when typing on a computer at a desk. Now I can't hang out there nearly as long as I would be able with sitting, but that's not a bad thing. It makes me have to change position frequently. So these are good positions to have to be in other than sitting in a chair, because there's more activity happening in your musculature, so you're actually building strength, building stability, as opposed to just loading pressure through your joints that ultimately will break you down over time. All right, and then the last position, the deep squat. So if I'm here and then I want to go to the half kneeling position and I want to change it up a little bit, I can just bring this foot forward, and I don't have the ankle mobility to keep my heels down. So what I have to do to unload my knees is really push my knees out and get a stretch in the inner thighs and activate the outer hip muscles there. I also want to be dynamic in this position, so obviously you have to have enough mobility in the knees that this doesn't feel like it's jammed up to get into this position. But if I can spend some time here, this is just another way to change it up. All right, and you're working on a ton of different hip mobility. The more you can open your hips, the more your torso's upright. It's also deep core stabilization. All right, if you have the means, you can load the ankles or unload the ankles with some type of elevation, and then it makes this position a lot easier to spend some time into. All right, but in the course of what you're doing throughout the course of the day, you won't always have something that you can put there. So if that's the case, you can unload your knees by having one hand down or holding on to something that might be around the area. All right, so if I'm again giving my son a bath, this is the bath, I can get close to it, hold on to the bath, and still be in this squat position and be dynamic through here. So getting the deep squat, the half kneeling position, and the tall kneeling position in your movement repertoire can really just make life a lot easier for you. All right, so work on those, be safe. If you don't have that, if you're not even close to it, you got to go through the progressions and talk to a movement professional to help you get there. But it is important. It makes life a lot easier. See you next time.